to do the interview as well. Before reading the official citation, I'd like to just quote a couple of lines here from the submission that was given to the selection committee. I found this very impressive as I was doing some research on Jack here as well. Other than the accolades and his involvement and the talent and the time he spent with athletes and the sport community, I found the following very impressive. Quoting, "He is a very humble and compassionate person who is no stranger to the Yorkton sporting scene. At times he is too humble, as it is very difficult to get him to talk about his accomplishments. He was team physician for the Yorkton Senior Terrier hockey teams for almost 20 years, a volunteer position, and he was a major part of every Terrier senior game and provincial championship teams. He was more than just a mender of bones, as he counseled many a young and old hockey player alike who came to play with the Terriers. And finally, many of Dr. MacIntyre's contributions to sport in Yorkton was done behind the scenes and in confidentiality. We know that there are countless athletes from this community who could tell their own version of what Dr. MacIntyre did to help them physically and mentally in the game. And there are hundreds of youth who received advice and coaching under this sportsman. And I believe that says a lot about Jack. And perhaps unofficially, this part didn't receive a lot of points, but then, of course, probably it's the most important part of Jack's contribution to sport in Yorkton. The official citation reads as follows. Dr. Jack MacIntyre began his influence on the Yorkton sporting scene as an Air Force flying instructor who flew senior hockey players, servicemen to game destinations. Deciding on a medical career, he graduated from the University of Manitoba with a medical certificate in 1953, and soon thereafter began a family practice in Yorkton. Dr. MacIntyre was instrumental in organizing a minor sports executive, the association of which he served as its first president. His dedication to minor sports in Yorkton covered more than 20 years. Doc was also a great coach and manager as well, and as seen in 1960 when he coached and managed the Yorkton Bantam baseball team to a provincial championship. A varied involvement, obviously. Dr. MacIntyre's greatest contribution to sport in Yorkton was in the hockey arena, 20 years as the volunteer team physician for the senior teams, including the provincial champion teams of senior Terriers during consecutive years, 67 through 71. This made him a familiar face among many players and fans and executive members. He served as team physician to all players during the Yorkton-hosted Western Canada Allen Cup in 1971. Special recognition of service and dedication was given to Doc in 1966 when he was named as the very first Yorkton Sportsman of the Year, and I think that says something in itself. For 40 years, Dr. Jack MacIntyre has been an important factor in the sports world of the Yorkton area. His quiet and humble presence mended both bones and hearts of many sports-minded individuals in the community. His popularity obviously hasn't faded, as we, even in his absence here this evening, see, as I mentioned before, many of his friends who came out to pay tribute. Congratulations, Jack. We wish you were here. And at this time, we would call on Pat Holcamp to accept, on Jack's behalf, the official induction plaque of Dr. Jack MacIntyre into the Hall of Fame 1997. Pat? I might just add, it's of special note here, I believe. There were a number of people, I understand, who would have been thrilled to come up here and accept this on your behalf, Jack. However, you chose someone perhaps who you had not coached or mentored or mended even, but a friend, a neighbor. And I think that says something for Jack in itself. Pat?
It is with great pleasure that I accept this award on behalf of Dr. MacIntyre tonight. I've known Dr. MacIntyre all my life, from day one in fact, and I know that he is truly sorry that he could not be here with you tonight, and I send his well wishes and well wishes to those others who have been inducted to the Sports Hall of Fame tonight. Thank you.
Last but not least, actually I'm glad to see Vern is here. I was thinking as well as some of the executive members that he was perhaps still out selling some tickets. Every time an executive member tried to sell a ticket in town lately, they were met with, "Sorry, Vern's already got us," so thanks for showing up, Vern. Seriously, though, I think this is typical of Vern, a real go-getter, always ahead of the pack, so to speak, taking that extra time to succeed. And maybe this attribute comes naturally to Vern because when we study him as an athlete, the awards, the accolades, the titles, it would certainly appear that he was always ahead of the pack just a bit. Vern has passed through the cycle of sport, the life cycle of sport, I believe, starting his sporting career as a young athlete in Yorkton, working his way up through the ranks, continuing his lifelong pursuit of sport outside of Yorkton, and eventually landing up back here in Yorkton, raising a family of whom I am well pleased to see 3 of the 4 children here, all of whom I taught at one point or another. Vern enters our Sport Hall of Fame being recognized as an athlete, a coach, a builder, and not just in hockey, perhaps his first love, but in many sports in which he contributed. I think Vern would be equally proud of that dual role. First of all, his major accomplishments in hockey, and secondly, his major accomplishments and contributions in all of the other sports. This time, I'd ask you to turn one more time and take a look at Vern's interview.
I grew up in Yorkton, as a sporting person. That was my niche. And yes, I had many influences, some of them being Wilf Tripp and Henry Chelman and George Parsons, the 3 vice principals of the 3 public schools who coached us to a minor hockey championship in Saskatchewan. That was my first one. And influences like that, Randy, got me more and more into the sport. And as things went on, I would be remiss if I didn't mention Harry and Billy Presti here. They both coached me, and there were many others like Harry Ellis and such. And you've heard me say I was really proud of them, and it was a good upbringing for me in Yorkton, and so I followed that trend of life myself. After I left Yorkton, I went to the Crow's Nest Pass and played junior in the Western Canada Junior Hockey League. And then I went on to Springfield in the Quebec League and Syracuse in the American League. After that, I went to the University of Alberta, and I was fortunate enough to play for Clare. Clare was the coach of the Golden Bears. After that, that's when I went to Europe. You know what, Randy? I went for 3 years, and I wasn't much of a student, so I needed a break. Anyway, for a break, I went 7 months to Britain and played in Murrayfield and Nottingham for a year. And I think experiences in our life, that was one of the greatest experiences
Better
in my
coach
life.
Clare or CJ?
You can't ask me that one. If I was to contribute to the Yorkton sporting scene, the best thing I could do is become a teacher, because teachers, you could pretty well go where you wanted when I graduated. And I wanted to come back to Yorkton, and I did. And I came back to Yorkton and coached at the Comstead High School for 7 years. I coached the country folk, and I never had a better experience in my life coaching such people as Dave Farrell and George Nussbaumer, and having Art McCune and Jerry James as, well, I was the assistant. I wasn't much of a football coach, but I was the assistant football coach. You know, Randy, I really enjoyed that experience with those young men. I became president of Deer Park for 4 or 5 years, and it was my privilege to, at that time, build the golf course into the best golf course we could have under the circumstances, and I mean more than anything, we built the course within the finances that Yorkton could provide, and we always kept it at a reasonable price for all golfers to play, and it's still that way today, and we're really proud of Deer Park. I was sitting at home one day and always really worried about the Yorkton hockey scene, and when I heard that the junior Terriers might fold due to financial problems after Jerry James left, I decided to go down to the rink, and I said, what can I do? I think that was my biggest mistake, but nevertheless, they didn't know either. And I think it was my idea. I came up with a community meeting to see if Yorkton wanted hockey, and we held it at the Canadian Legion. 250 people showed up and said, let's keep hockey alive in Yorkton. So Diane Hilderman and I and Raymond Tichot and Gene Krubakavich, and we had a wonderful executive of 8 or 9. And we got the team back on a financial stable basis, and junior hockey carried on ever since. And so, as you said, I had a 3-year stint trying to keep the junior Terriers alive.
What does it mean for you, Vern Pachal, to be inducted into this Hall of Fame?
I think after all we're talking about then, Randy, I think it's wonderful that the people of Yorkton will recognize me too. I'm very proud that they do the kind of thing that I was interested in, was to do something for the city of Yorkton. I've always been very proud of Yorkton.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Vern, I was interested to hear that you said something that when you first started teaching, teachers could go where they want. I think nowadays people just tell them where to go. So. I know I may repeat myself a bit here, but I just want to spend a moment in review once again. Junior hockey, pee-wee hockey, international hockey, European university hockey, Western Canada, major junior league, you name it, Vern was there. And yet, somehow in the history, as I was reading it, there seemed to be a turning point, and that happened, I believe, around 1953. I stand to be corrected. But I believe Vern was one step away from NHL, and certainly he was NHL material and could have gone on and done very well. But something Eddie Shore, I believe, said at that point made him a bit uncomfortable, and at that point he decided to come back and pursue his education career, go to Alberta, and I think somewhere in there he met and married Marilyn, and good things started happening after Vern made that decision not to follow Eddie Shore's suggestions. So sometimes some of the mentors or perhaps the coaches at that level aren't always correct, and Vern did very well when he returned to Yorkton. As I said, after that he played in Europe at the University of Alberta, raised a family, came back to Yorkton. So in summary, I guess Eddie Shore's loss was Yorkton's gain. I guess I can say this. About 30 years ago, I came to Yorkton. I'm still a young fellow, and started a teaching career here at the same school that Vern just left after he decided or was asked to go to the regional high school, the old Composite. The first thing I encountered when I was thinking about this was a plaque, and whose name was on there? Vern Pachal, phys ed instructor, department head, coach, and so on. That was my first introduction to Vern's name, and consequently to Vern himself. And of course, after that, I had to contend with the cigar smoke at every phys ed society meeting that we had. And again, Vern being very instrumental, not only in the field of hockey, but in every other sport that you could think of, and certainly instrumental in the phys ed society at that time, dealing with young people as well as the organization. Truly a versatile contributor to building our community, Vern, and I personally, and of course on behalf of everyone here, want to thank you for that. The official induction reads as follows, a citation I should say. Vern Pachal's contribution to sport showcases an entire lifetime. Vern's early hockey efforts were rewarded with championships at the Pee-wee, Junior, University, International levels, as mentioned earlier. In addition to being a strong team player, Vern scored led scoring races and earned titles in many, many years of play. 1947 is an example, recorded setting 3 goals in 11 seconds. I'm not sure if the goalie was in place, but 3 goals, I'm sure he was. 3 goals in 11 seconds. 1950, 50 goals scored. 1951, 52 goals. And if we think about that, those are major, major accomplishments. During his University of Alberta hockey career, Vern was captain, 3-time scoring champion, I believe, for the Golden Bears, experience in Europe, playing in the British Ice Hockey Federation League, eventually returning to a teaching career here in Yorkton. During these years, as mentioned again, Vern sat as chairman of the Saskatchewan High School Athletic Association, acquiring a merit award, and sat on the Men's Provincial Curling Association Board of Directors, founder of the Phys Ed Society in Yorkton, contributor to the Legion Track Club. And I also was interested to see this morning, as we were down at the hall gathering some memorabilia there with Bev, she showed me this shirt that he brought in a while back, and it had, I believe, master instructor bowling. In addition to his excellence in hockey, Vern, as we know, contributed much to the game of golf in Yorkton. Deer Park Course Golf Club, grass greens, sand traps, practice greens are due in part and in large part to his promotion and efforts. Blue Owl winner, hole-in-one, 4-time achiever. Not sure if that sets the record as he did with hockey, but certainly an achievement, and many years of service on the executive, and one of the major organizers with the junior program in the 70s, a true builder. He also sat, I believe, on the Provincial Curling Association for 3 years. Vern received the Sportsman of the Year award in '68, but did not stop contributing to sport at the local level. 1994, as we know, he, after pushing here and there in the right places, was very instrumental in the development of the Yorkton Sports Hall of Fame, and that's the very reason we're here this evening. That was a dream of Vern's for many years, and it finally became a reality, and I'm sure we would not be here had he not pushed in the right direction. Again, due to his dedication and commitment on the part of this respected, treasured member of this community, it gives me a great deal of pleasure to congratulate and call Vern Pachal up to be inducted officially into the Yorkton Sports Hall of Fame 1997.
Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I'm very honored to have been asked to respond on behalf of the inductees. I'm especially honored because I think Vern was supposed to do it, but he gave my name to Don. And no, seriously, I would like to say, and some of the things relate to some of the things that have already been said, but the city of Yorkton has been tremendously good to all of us. And over the years, in my mind anyway, has always provided a wonderful environment for its sportsmen and sportswomen. The physical environment may change over the years. I know I tried to find the stag billiard parlor today and I couldn't find it. But not the sharing and caring attitude of the people in Yorkton who represent particularly the sporting community. All of the inductees would agree, I think, that involvement in sport is probably the best way there is to learn about yourself and about a lot of important lessons that we can learn, that sport has to offer. It's a particularly proud and meaningful moment for me to be inducted this year with my father. He devoted the major part of his adult life to teaching, coaching, and leading young people in the Yorkton community. And to me, he left a legacy of caring and of wanting his students and players to become the best they could be. And many of them did, believe me, and many of them are in this room right now. I can remember the motto hanging outside the principal's office at Burke School. And Mito will remember this, and Vern, play up, and play the game. Keep working at it. He believed that happiness and satisfaction didn't just come from doing what you like to do, but rather every day liking what you had to do. And I think a lot of the people here, a lot of people that have been inducted, follow that same principle. So on behalf of all the inductees, I would like to offer our collective thank yous to all of our nominators and to the selection committee who have given us this honor. It's been especially meaningful to me to be inducted both with my father and with Vern Pachal, who I count as a close personal friend, although he often beats me in golf. My personal congratulations to Vern and Dr. MacIntyre. I didn't get an opportunity to know Dr. MacIntyre very well, but I know him slightly, and I have a great feel for the work that he's done. It's a very select group. The other inductees that are here tonight, I know there are a number of those as well. It's a very select group that we're joining, and we feel appreciative about that. And I'd also like to thank all the family members of the inductees, the spouses and children who are always a constant source of support, always, and thanks also to our many personal friends who are here tonight. As has been mentioned earlier, there are a number of people from a great distance, and that's a tribute both to the dinner and to the people that are here. It's been a wonderful evening, and I know that this event will continue to build and become an important part of Yorkton's proud sporting tradition. And I was made well aware of that again tonight when I heard Steve and Lorraine and Jean's talks tonight. I thought they were excellent talks, and I know that the Yorkton sporting tradition is in good hands. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Clare.